t-shirt.
So guys, are you coming out tomorrow?
Now,
I heard 3 of y'all. Are y'all coming out tomorrow? I want to see you guys tomorrow because I will be there looking for you all.
now, also who's going to be in attendance tomorrow answering your questions is Memphis Grizzlies Wayne Selden, and also Andrew Harrison will be live at Lander Center tomorrow from 11 to 3.
It's going to be a great event, a fun event, a great Saturday.
I'll tell you what, while everybody's meeting and taking pictures with Grizz and signing up, how about we hit a little music, DJ? BLJ's got a rug to cut.
That's my
That's
jam.
you, not me.
We the best music.
Yes, yes,
I'm
yes.
instigated.
Yeah, looking at the truth, the money never lies.
Pants for those sunglasses. But here in just a little bit, we're going to meet some brand new faces for the Memphis Hustle.
You're going to be interviewing a few of them. Tell them who they're going to be interviewing today.
No pressure, but we're going to have the head coach of the Memphis Hustle, Glynn Cyprien, is going to be here, right here, answering questions.
Ooh.
So we've got the coach. We also have the Grizzlies president of operations, Jason Wexler, will be right here on stage with us.
Ooh.
And if that wasn't enough, the Hustle general manager, Makris, is going to be here answering questions as well.
So we got a loaded stage tonight so we can ask questions.
We are loaded. We're going to answer questions about everything from where the Hustle are going to practice,
Uh-huh.
where are they going to play,
Uh-huh.
how did they come up with the Memphis Hustle name?
You going to ask that question too?
Yes, and by the way, major props to the Grizzlies front brass for the Memphis Hustle. The logo and the name is outstanding, right?
I like it. I love it, actually.
What? You know what, BLJ?
What's
We
going on?
should start off with a little fun.
What you got for us?
Since we have some folks waiting in line here, they need a little entertainment.
What you got for them?
You can't sing, can you?
I can hum a little bit, but I can't sing.
And we all know that BLJ can dance, right?
Every now and then.
But up first, let's introduce the Memphis Grizzlies! Come on, guys!
Give it up for them, guys.
We have some very, very special guests up here that are going to answer some questions about the team, about the D-League. We're going to get into a little bit of everything. So please welcome first the coach of the Memphis Hustle, Glynn Cyprien. Right, and sitting in the middle, we have the Hustle general manager, Makris. And then also at the far end is the Grizzlies president of operations. We're really important here today, guys. This is Jason Wexler. All right, so I've got to start out with Coach. You have a lot of history here in Memphis. I've been hearing you doing the rounds on the media. Tell the fans here just a little bit about your history here with Memphis, and then also with the Iowa Energy, which is where our D-League team was last season.
Yes, well, I started off here in Memphis coaching with the Tigers. I was assistant coach to Josh Pastner for the first 2 seasons here. and left here, went over to Texas A&M for a couple of seasons, and returned back in the front office role for 3 seasons. So I'm awfully excited to be back here in this area, DeSoto County. I'm very familiar, been here before, and just very excited to be back here, obviously with a different look, different swag, and hustling every day.
Exactly. Well, thank you for that. And just pass the microphone on down, because Mr. Makris, the general manager, he also has experience with the team that we had last year in Iowa. Just tell us a little bit about the transition from the energy over to the hustle.
Yeah, it's a really exciting time for me personally to see the fan base here and be able to kind of capture the excitement that the Grizzlies have built over time. And I think people will see over time this will really pay dividends for the Grizzlies. So for me, it's really exciting to be able to collaborate, be closer, do things like this, get out in the community. Things that we could do in Iowa, but there wasn't the same attachment. So I appreciate everybody coming out, supporting this team, coming out tomorrow to our event, all these fun things we got going on, and I think it'll be a great partnership and a great experience down here.
Absolutely, and that event that you're talking about is tomorrow, June 3rd at Landers Center from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. The first 2,000 fans in attendance are going to receive a sweet, brand new, fresh off the press Memphis Hustle t-shirt. Also, of course, you can get your season tickets and all of that good stuff. But up next, we have Jason Wexler. Now, I'm going to ask you what everybody here is wondering.
Okay.
Tell us, how did we come up with the name, the logo? You guys are smooth, man.
Thank you. Part of our culture and identity of the Grizzlies is to be unique and authentic and do things our own way. We just don't do what everybody else does. And if you look around the D-League, there's, everybody else kind of does things a certain way. So we started off saying we want to do things different from everybody else. That's part of who we are. And then you start thinking about grit and grind. You start thinking about the culture of the Grizzlies, and you want the D-League team to represent that. And what is grit and grind but hustle? And it just kind of took from there. Memphis Hustle works on so many different levels, and that's going to be the point. It's like you hustle in the D-League, you grit and grind in the D-League. That's how you get to the NBA, and that's the tone of our organization, and that's the tone of our how we play ball, and that's what we want to establish, and that's what Coach is going to instill, and those are the kind of players Chris is going to look for, and that's how we want to represent the organization.
I've got to ask you now, I was a big fan of the throwbacks, the Memphis Sounds gear. Tell us about the red. Why red?
Well, the sounds, you can sort of see the influence in the design, and part of it is as part of wanting this cool culture and identity, we didn't want to just have knockoff of the Grizzlies colors, where you just kind of, all right, here's a new name, but we're just throwing out the Grizzlies colors. We wanted to be a little bit different, distinct. We wanted to pop. We kind of feel that 70s, throwback vibe with it. It just really works in the red. And sometimes good designs just works.
Absolutely. Okay, so Mr. Makris, the general manager of the Hustle, for those that are really into basketball, the X's and O's, the contracts and all that kind of stuff, can you explain what the two-way contracts are and how those contracts are going to influence the Grizzlies and Hustle's organization as far as basketball is considered as a whole?
Sure, I'll do my best to do it in a concise way because it's pretty complicated.
You gotta dumb it down for me, man.
I don't know if I need to dumb it down, but I'll be short. Basically, in the past, the Grizzlies can have 15 players under contract. Under the new collective bargaining agreement, we can now have 17. So those 2 extra players are what are called two-way players, and as it states, they'll be 2 different places. They'll be with the Grizzlies for up to 45 days during the season, but most of the time they'll be here with the Hustle. So those are players that'll be under NBA contract in addition to the normal 15 that we will see down here in Southhaven quite a bit.
Okay, next question. Will the Grizzlies and Hustle consult each other regarding personnel both ways?
It's all collaborative, and that's the great thing about being so close. Led by Chris Wallace on the basketball side, our whole front office, we talk about NBA stuff in conjunction with D-League stuff. It'll flow between each other. It's a great setup to be this close for that reason, because everybody's going to have their hands on it. All decisions will include both clubs, and that's the way it works in this league and the way you find good players.
Awesome. This next one is for Coach. We're talking about the players, talking about the facilities. Where will the Hustle practice?
Yeah, we'll practice in the Grizzlies facility at the FedExForum. We'll also use a weight room in all the facilities. So for us, and I'm already using that in recruiting.
There you go.
If I come out and talk to you about being one of my players, I'm going to tell you, look, you have an opportunity to be in and around our staff, at times maybe perhaps our players. I could see some of the Grizz guys coming down here to support the Hustle. There's no question. But we'll use those facilities, and we're awfully excited about it.
Very cool, and I'm glad that you brought that up about the players. Will the Grizzlies players regularly play with the hustle? Will we see some of those players?
I think so. Whether it's 1 or 2 or 3, you just don't know at this point. We're still trying to build rosters for both teams, but I think at times you will see some Grizzlies guys down here playing in games.
Very, very cool. Okay, back to the general manager, Chris Makris. What advantages do the two teams have just being so close? Because Iowa was further away, obviously. You're literally 20 minutes apart, if that.
Well, the first thing is, you mentioned it, with Grizzlies players having the opportunity to be assigned, and assigned on short notice. So I think that will allow us to potentially see more Grizzlies contract players playing for the hustle on a daily basis. So it's no longer 2 flights, it's about a 20-minute drive, which is really exciting. I also think the other thing you'll see is, I talked about collaboration before, you'll see that on the coaching side as well. You'll Sip, who does a fabulous job for us, working with Coach Fizz and doing some of the things that we want to accomplish, and making sure that everybody has their eyes on it, everybody has their hands on it. I think the development process will be sped up because of the location.
Very cool. The Grizzlies President of Operations, Jason Wexler. A couple of questions for you. I got to go back to the name and to the logo, because we all threw around our own names. We were all guessing. We came up with our different names and everything. So when did you know, and how did you know that the hustle, that was it? It's the hustle. That's it.
We had a real good collaborative process. We explored a bunch of different options. We took every Bear nickname there was in pro and minor league sports and put it up on a wall. We put every major, professional sports and minor league sports name up on a wall, and we kind of studied everything and tried to come up with a name, and we just kept coming back to hustle, and there was just nothing that could beat it out or knock it off, and so it was the clear answer.
Okay, now can I put you on the spot and ask, are there any names that you can give us that could have been, might have been, would have been?
No, you don't go there. No, you don't tell everybody who's in second place. It just doesn't work that way. Those files have been shredded.
I just wanted to see if it was one of mine, that's all. Okay, so we all know that the Grizzlies are very in tune with the community. A lot of charity that they do, just different events in the Mid-South here. Will the Hustle take a similar approach in regards to business and community initiatives in the Mid-South?
Yeah, absolutely. You'll see our team and our guys, all over the place here in DeSoto County. We plan to be real active in the community, both in Memphis and DeSoto County. It's part of the culture of our organization. So obviously we do it at the Grizzlies level. We plan to do it at the Hustle level. And for fans coming out to the games, it's a lot more accessible to the players too, because the guys sit there after the games and they sign autographs, and they're on the court beforehand and they're on the court afterwards, and you're about this far away from them because it's the G League and everybody's got a great seat, and so it's a really connective environment. And part of that is wanting to be out there in the community, want to have the schools come into the to the games, and expect to be part and parcel like we've always been.
That's one of the things that I always notice. No matter how busy the guys are, they always take time to sign autographs, take pictures. We love the players. Looking forward to seeing some of those Hustle players doing the same thing. But one more question. What's the value of owning and operating the D-League team?
I mean, there's the biggest value is on the basketball side, right? So, if you look at our roster right now, we got, 5-6 guys who came up through our D-League teams. You got Andrew Harrison, who spent a whole year there. He's making key plays for us in the playoffs. You had Wade Baldwin, Deonta Davis, Jarrell Martin, all of our draft picks going down there and getting experience. You had a guy like James Ennis played down there for a while. You have Jermichael Green, who we found in the D-League. So Wayne Selden, who came up through the D-League. So, I think the stat we heard is 44% of the guys in the NBA now have played in the D-League at one point or another. So, and our roster is a perfect example of that. So we expect to use it constantly. So from a basketball perspective, it's a huge asset.
Okay, up next, Coach. I've got a couple questions for you, but tomorrow, actually a couple of those guys that you mentioned, tomorrow at Landers Center from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., Grizzlies Wayne Selden and Andrew Harrison will both be in the house signing autographs, saying hello to the fans. The first 2,000 fans in attendance there tomorrow is going to receive a brand new free Memphis Hustle t-shirt. Coach, I've got to ask you, man, one of my favorite players, I've heard that you've had dealings with him, bringing him on board. I'll just do it. TA, man, tell us about your relationship with TA and bringing him on board.
Yeah, well, the relationship go back to college. I was fortunate enough to kind of scout him out and get him to play for me at Oklahoma State University, where he had a great career. 2 years there, he graduated. Most people don't know this, but he graduated 3.0, graduated with honors. He was MVP of the league. We made a Final Four run with him, and he was able to get drafted to the Celtics, where he also won a championship. And when he was a free agent way back when, Chris Wallace wanted to know how to get involved with it. And I was just able to kind of put in a word and kind of push him over. But everything he's done is because of him. I mean, he's really grown as a person and obviously grown as a basketball player, but more importantly, he's grown as a father and as a husband. And so those reasons within itself is why I'm so proud of him.
I think we all love TA. Is that right, guys? Make some noise if you love TA. Definitely love TA. And talking about players in the D-League, is there a player on the league-wide spectrum that sticks out as having successfully used the D-League as a platform other than Tony Allen? Just round off a couple of different names if you can.
Well, the names selfishly is the guys that we've had. I mean, we had Troy Williams here. He was in the D-League, got called up by the Rockets, and then Wayne Selden, like we said earlier, had an opportunity to play, start some games in the playoffs. So those are the names that I know. I could obviously throw out a bunch of names, but that's a blueprint of what we're able to do when we create, and we will have a good culture and good environment here in Mississippi and over in Memphis as well.
Now, being the coach too, it's a little different coaching a developmental team because some of your best players are going to be moved over to the Grizzlies to make them better. So how do you balance the two?
Well, if that happens, that means we've done a good job at developing guys. So I hope, and I said this all year long to my team last year, I hope every single guy gets called up, and because that's what it's all about. So yes, we'd love to win every game. That's not necessarily what it's all about. So if we can get guys called up to the Grizzlies and they're able to have some success, then man, we're going to pat ourselves on the back for that.
Now, I know we asked about Grizzlies players playing at Lander Center with the hustle. Will there ever be joint practices or inter-squad scrimmages, things like that, to help get the guys sharper?
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen, but there'll be times where some of those guys will practice with us, guys that's been sent down to us. So I think that'll happen.
Okay, the general manager of the Hustle, Chris Makris, question for you. How have you noticed the D-League's growth over the years, particularly in the last 5 years, and how do you envision the future?
Yeah, it's a whole different league now than it was when I started 9 years ago. I think at that time there were 12 or 13 teams. The focus was a little bit more on winning games as opposed to developing players, and we've all become more smart and figured out let's develop players for the NBA. Right. And now there's going to be 26 teams this year, and NBA teams are getting involved, so there's so much more NBA ownership. 9-10 years ago, it was kind of independently owned teams. There were some tricks to try to figure some things out, and now there's a lot of smart teams that are involved in trying to win games, develop players, and things like that. Going forward, we're gonna see 30 teams. We're at 26 now. We're gonna see 30. There's gonna be 30 NBA teams, direct affiliation, more growth, better players, more excitement. Be able to take things like this and make it a mini grindhouse down here, and kind of take the business side and incorporate that as well. So, pretty neat transition that I've seen and been a part of over the last 9 years.
Very nice. And last question for Jason Wexler, the Grizzlies president of operations. I want to ask you the same thing. What do you see in the future for not only the developmental league, but for the Memphis Hustle and the Memphis Grizzlies and their partnership?
I mean, we see a lot of potential with it. We're already gearing up, staffing up, doing more things. With Grind City Media, we have our own digital media company, so we see a lot more content, more personalities, more people we can get involved. We're going to be having an NBA 2K esports team next year as well. So you start to have the esports team, and you start to have a G League team, and you have an NBA team, and you just be able to provide a lot of entertainment on a lot of levels and create a lot of unique content that we'll be able to push out through our digital and social channels and keep our fans engaged at every possible age and every possible level.
Well, I want to congratulate all three of you on the launch of the brand new Memphis Hustle. I cannot wait, not only for the events, but I can't wait for tip-off. So ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Coach Glynn Cyprien, Grizzlies President of Operations Jason Wexler, and the Hustle General Manager Chris Makris. Thank you guys for joining us. All right, fans, do not forget that tomorrow, June 3rd at Lander Center from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., the first 2,000 fans in attendance are going to receive a free Memphis Hustle t-shirt. Check this out. There's going to be free parking, free popcorn, courtesy of Coca-Cola, and the fans are also going to have the opportunity to sample some new Coke products, so that will be very cool too. Full lineup of Grizzlies entertainment teams, Grizzline, King of the Court, Grannies and Grandpas, the Blue Bunch, and so much more. So DJ, spin us some tunes, brother, will you? Woo!